Hare Krishna Maharaj. I have
Hare
a few
Krishna.
questions for you. And yeah, my first question I wanted to ask you is about the statement which is given by Srila Prabhupada that everything is in my books. So I wanted to know from you if there is any necessity to read books on spiritual subjects aside from those of Srila Prabhupada.
When I was in Chicago, Puri Maharaja was in charge over the temple president, Kalki, and he called me into his office. But he was going to the airport every day for distributing books also. But anyway, I used to ride out with him. But he called me in his office and said, "So, I hear you got some tapes of Srila Maharaj." Because they were, forbidden in ISKCON at the time. They just were like banned goods. So I said, yes, I have some of his transcripts and tapes, and I find them very enlivening. They're giving me inspiration. I'm not spreading them around and preaching about them to the other devotees. I'm just reading them myself for my own inspiration. And he just kind of said, and he didn't do anything more. In theory, he was the authority, so he was supposed to confiscate them, and chastise me. And but he just let me go. One of his godbrothers, Markandeya, gave him a Sri Guru in his grace and said, "There's something wrong with this book. Could you read it?" But it was just to get him to read it, So Maharaj read it, and he said it made him cry. He saw the answers to ISKCON's problems in there. He saw this is what they really need. This is the information, because it's mostly about gurus.
Yeah.
Because so many devotees were having problems in their relationship with Guru, or with the Guru's behavior. It was pretty strange, all the things that happened. So Srila Maharaj gave a lot of light to illuminate all the things that were wrong. It's like when you have a jewel, when they display like the Kohinoor gem or something in a open place, they put it under glass on a pedestal, and then they have spotlights on it, different spotlights. Or like a diamond, it sparkles, gives different colors according to the light passing through it. So a lot of times they have lights from different angles, and so what hearing from different acharyas gives you different opinions on the same thing. Here, I learned so much about the philosophy, to study Srila Prabhupada's books for so long, read all of his books a couple of times through, and then to read Sridhara Maharaja's books, I could go back and understand Prabhupada's books even better, because it gave me a deeper understanding. There are quite a few things that Prabhupada didn't give to his disciples. I'll just give an example of one. It's the Sannyas Mantra. Nowhere did he ever mention that to his disciples, what the meaning of it is. And like, for example, Srila Maharaj has his Gayatri Nigodartha that goes into it in great detail, the Gayatri, and it was known to his disciples about the Sannyas Gayatri Mantra, which he did discuss when he gave that. So that's just one example. Srila Maharaj's commentaries were very, very deep philosophically, and much realization was revealed in his talks. Their perspectives were unique in some ways, but in terms of substance, they were very, very similar. A godbrother of mine would come to Srila Maharaj and ask him a question and make some statement like, Prabhupada told us this. And sometimes Srila Maharaj would say, no, he didn't. Srila Prabhupada did not say that to you. And no, he said it. I know, I heard it directly. And Srila Maharaj would say, no, he didn't. And how did he know? He would say, because that is not the teaching of our Guru Maharaj. If Srila Bhakti Siddhanta did not say it, then our Srila Prabhupada would not say it. So he knew in that way. There's no question. A lot of times, for various reasons, it's propagated, they change the history. And they have a reason for that. Like, for example, the leaders of the society don't want their devotees to go outside the society. They want to keep them corralled, you know, because, well, they can get in trouble. It's like children. You say, don't play in the street. Kid in the street is very dangerous.
Yeah.
You know, I see these little dogs running around sometimes on the side of the highway, and they go, oh boy, they're not going to last long. So Prabhupada was very concerned for his disciples. He saw many times that they got in trouble. You know, and if you go to Vrindavan, it's a crossroads of religiosity. All the different, every faith is represented there to some degree. And I've seen a number of devotees, or known a number of devotees, who say, yeah, I found this really great little temple. It's so sweet. Their bhajans are so sweet. And you go there, they're sahajias. You know, they chant very sweetly, yes. That's why Bhaktisiddhanta forbid the harmonium in the Gaudiya Math, because it gives the sweetest sound. And they start to get into their imitation emotions and wailing and so many things. So you can easily get waylaid when you are exposed to all these different things. So Prabhupada wanted to keep his devotees on the track. That was one thing. And later the leaders in ISKCON also, they wanted to do that. They didn't want the devotees going here and there. After Srila Prabhupada left this world, many of my godbrothers and godsisters were lost their inspiration. And Prabhupada had said that everything is in his books. Yes, everything is in his books, but this book may be sitting on the shelf. It's passive. It's not going to jump off the shelf and say, hey, Chief Jago, read me. It's not going to say that. You have to physically walk over to the Bhagavad Gita, open it up, and read it. And then you have to understand it, digest it, process it, and get inspiration from it. Whereas a devotee is living Bhagavad Gita. Vaishnavas, devotees in general, are embodiment of the Bhagavad Gita. We always need Shiksha. And that's why we should serve under a higher Vaishnava, because they can help direct us in this. Because many times, if we're a neophyte, we don't have the proper discrimination to know where to get the Shiksha. And we get in trouble. Now we hear from wrong authorities that I've known so many devotees, even my own godbrothers, even some of them were close friends, that just went off into the twilight, you know, because they got interested in other Vaishnavas who had a little different idea. It's like if you got two railroad tracks, they have to be parallel. If one's a little bit off, as they go further and further down the way, they deviate, and the train will fall off the tracks. So if our philosophical conception is a little off, then when we get down the road in the future, we'll be really off. You know, that the road leads somewhere. It's not like the idea yatamat tatapat, as many paths, as many ways. They all lead to the same thing. We don't think like that. So you have to know where you're going, and you need expert guidance to do that. Narasingha Maharaj was very dedicated to his disciples, and I went with him many times to visit other personalities, like Srila Maharaj in the beginning. Although at that time the Maharaj didn't have any disciples, he brought one of his prospective disciples to Srila Maharaj to hear from him. And later he took as many disciples as he could to meet Srila Puri Maharaja and hear him speak. He wanted them to get the blessings and to hear the divine words of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Maharaj. And sometimes we would go to other great, senior Vaishnavas, because he felt that this is good. It's a good learning experience. It's a good experience spiritually to meet these other great souls and hear what they say, see how they are. And if we inquire submissively from bona fide personalities, we'll learn so much. We just have to be careful. I've seen so many times when devotees were misled and this and that. But hopefully we have enough discrimination to make that decision. So everything is in Prabhupada's books that you need to become Krishna conscious. Everything is there. Doesn't mean there isn't anything else. It doesn't mean that a Shiksha guru won't inspire you. Many of my godbrothers, as I said, they lost inspiration, but Prabhupada's books are there. Godbrothers are there, but they were out wandering around. And so by having good association, it's certainly very helpful. We need all the help we can get.